Hello and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Yesterday there were a handful of good games. We picked two of those. There was one winner bet that didn't go our way. So in New York, Islanders visited Madison Square Garden. Game ended 0-2. Winner was visitor. But it was, let's say, a reasonable tight game, basically equal amount of shots and not any kind of one-way street like sometimes we've seen these local games. The other game, Vancouver at Toronto. Toronto didn't want to show up for first two periods. Vancouver was driving the game but couldn't score, and the total score then was only 4 when Toronto woke up in third period and scored the goals that were needed to win the game. How do you see, Tommy, these bets, not as we discussed yesterday?
Yeah, a little bit of a bad selection from us again, but I have to take a look behind the numbers again. In New York, Barry Trotz against New York Rangers, and Trotz again did what he does best. So very defensive battle in New York. Islanders beating 0-1 Rangers. Rangers had a lot of scoring chances. Should have scored against Varlamov, who now has 2 shutouts in 2 starts in Madison Square Garden. So a great defensive display by New York Islanders. Of course, Barry Trotz then. Very Barry Trotz-like game overall. It was Islanders' bottom 6 players who then scored 2 goals in the third period after going 0-0 for about 50 minutes. So what can you say? The third most winningest coach now in the NHL history. So hats off to Barry Trotz in this case, and very tough loss for Rangers. Probably gonna bounce back after this, but yeah, Rangers again didn't find ways to score, and Semyon Varlamov, the man of the match in the Islanders goal. And then in Toronto, like you said, 2 periods of utter nonsense from Toronto. They shot 7 times on goal, and then in the third one just realized that, okay, we gotta win this game, and then scored 2 goals. It was 1-1 after 2 periods, and then Toronto finished the game strong, but that horrible start. Frederik Andersen was there, the man of the match, held Vancouver to 1 goal in those 2 periods. So a great game from the Great Dane there. But yeah, a disappointing result for us. We expected a lot of goals. Toronto needs to do better early on. They can't rely on their goaltender like this against even against team like Vancouver, who has enough productive players to score more goals, but this time Andersen was the man of the match.
How about any other games? Was it off night also from the simulations point of view, or did machine find some value for games that ended up right way?
It was a harsh night for the simulation engine as well, especially in the over-under department. We had a lot of overs going, and most of the games were under. Only 1 game finished over, and that was in San Luis, Arizona. Scored 1 second of, well, a lot less than 1 second. I think it was 16 hundredths of a second to equalize it 3-3 and take the game into overtime, also taking the game over, and then causing St. Louis to lose. So both picks of the system wrong by that last second goal. So very fitting in a way for these bad nights that we've had sometimes. But we did have value then in the favorites in Toronto, and also Edmonton visiting Ottawa. So got 2 correct ones as well. But of course, in those games, the heavy favorites have quite bad odds. So overall, a minus night this time, but I'm pretty sure that tonight we're going to bounce back and get some profits as well.
If we take a look of tonight's game and forget yesterday as soon as possible, we have picked 2 games. And if you remember, day before yesterday, the Sunday, we had same teams that we picked. It was actually same game, Philadelphia visiting Washington. That time, pretty even game. Washington outshot Philadelphia pretty easily, especially during the first two periods, and then they lost 4-7 at the end. Now we think Washington will bounce back. They are a small underdog in bookmakers' books, but a small favorite based on our simulation. And other game, 2 nights ago, Kings were playing in Vegas. It was a pretty even game. They lost at the end 3-4. Now they go back to home, the Staples Center, and San Jose continues their never-ending road trip, and they are playing in LA. It's a bit similar situation in our books. Kings is a small favorite. Bookmakers think vice versa, and that's the reason why we take both of these home underdogs with plus money here. Tommy, any other background why these are good picks for us?
Yeah, first of all, of course, the positive odds is a big factor here. Like we picked Washington last time also against Philly. They did play better. They outshot Flyers. Then some issues in the goal, and of course defensively a bad game from Capitals, but something that they are probably bouncing back from. They get back their better players. Kuznetsov should be back. Schultz in the defense, probably back as well. TJ Oshie is still out, and Jakub Vrana as well. But they've shown that they are capable of fighting these better teams as well, and they are a good team. Flyers. Also a good team, but I think at home with these odds, Capitals should be taking the points, especially after that horrible loss last time around. And then the other game, Los Angeles Kings, San Jose Sharks, a little bit of a local rivalry there. But like said, San Jose playing on the road the whole season so far. Kings returning home from a tough road trip to Vegas. They are also looking for a bounce back, and quite even teams. And if we get such good odds for a home team in these close affairs, we're taking, of course, the home underdog. In the simulations, they are favorites for about 53%. And also, let's tell the Washington game as well was 54% for the home team there. So if we get in these games positive odds, we're gonna pick them for sure. How does it look for the statistical point of view, the San Jose's road trip and the Kings back at home?
Yeah, San Jose, of course, this is a bit different than anything what they faced earlier, but during the last 3 seasons, they haven't been any good road team because in the home they have won 57% of the games, but on the road it only 45%. And especially the longer the road trip, worse they are playing. So if it's third or more road game, the win percentage is only 34%. So they win only 1 out of 3, even though they are playing maybe a bit better than they have been playing right now, because last season, of course, was catastrophic for San Jose, but 2 previous ones, they were contender for the cup, but now they are not, and they haven't seen their home, I think, since August or whatever. So there is, of course, some kind of fatigue in place when they are playing night after night on the road. And at the same time, LA comes from the Vegas after the Super Bowl night. I'm pretty sure they are refreshed and energized after that visit over there at the Strip. Their home win percentage is 50% during the last 3 seasons, but first home game it's almost 58%. So when they come back to LA to sunny beaches, they are pretty strong in the first game. So that's something that we keep in mind when we make these picks. But is there any other positive side values or positive expected values based on the simulations in tonight's games?
Yeah, there are a couple of these heavy favorites once again that we have been liking most of the season. So Florida is hosting Detroit. We have Florida quite clear favorites, even clearer than the odds. Florida odds of minus 228 at the moment, so not that great, but there is a couple of percent in the simulations more for the hosting Panthers team who lost last time 1-4 against Detroit. So again, this sort of bounce back at home expected here. Then in Ottawa, Edmonton, who won last night the first game of Mike Smith in the goal for Edmonton. And they are also heavy favorites by the odds about 64%, and the simulation shows 70% for the Oilers. So value there as well. But like I said, these favorites have the odds quite low. And then Vegas at home against the quite lousy Anaheim team, also massive favorite, 75% in simulations, in the odds about 70%. So very short odds, but very likely win. So if you like these heavy favorites, then go for Vegas, Florida, and Edmonton. A little bit tighter game expected then in Nashville. Tampa Bay is visiting Predators the second night in a row. Last night they won 4-1. A couple of lucky, well, let's say lucky goals against Pekkarinen there from zero angle, and 4-1 in the empty net. So a little bit closer probably this time around. We do have Tampa Bay winning about 60% of the simulations, while the odds are around 58%. So we do have Tampa as favorites another time in a row.
Nashville in these real back-to-back games at home, previously their win percentage is 59%. They have been winning only 50% of the home back-to-back games, so there has been a bit deep in the performance in that sense. And at the same time, Tampa, their win percentage on the road is 66%, so that's one of the highest in NHL during the last 3 seasons. And their back-to-back win percentage on the road is 59, so a little bit drop there, but not so much as you could expect. And let's see if Tampa can continue and push there. Maybe not the full throttle, but like 90% of performances and get win after win in these games.
Yeah, Tampa Bay has been improving all the time, and they like last season in the regular season, they don't necessarily need to play their best in order to get the win. So they can save a little bit of their energy. They have a really deep team and a lot of rotation used. So last night there was Curtis McElhinney was in the goal, now probably Vasilevsky, so even better goaltender this time around. So Tampa Bay is a favorite, but also has to be said about Nashville that they miss a couple of players due to injuries. So Hansen is out. So it shows, of course, they're missing their top centerman, but I'm expecting much better game from Predators as well. And if they manage to protect their goal a little bit better, they will be challengers for sure for Tampa Bay as well. So interesting to see what's going to happen. And also notably sort of rivalry here as well, getting along with the Predators and Lightning, a little bit of fighting and all this. So interesting to see how this develops.
And then there are, I think, 2 road underdogs that are favorites based on our simulation. Not the favorite, but there is positive value in our simulation. So our boy Kevin Lankinen jumps into the box against Dallas. 2 nights ago, Dallas was beaten by Blackhawks overtime 2-1. Both goalies played very well. Malcolm Subban at Chicago side, and then Jake Ottinger in Dallas. I think now there is another set of goalies. Do you think it would be another under game here?
Yeah, probably. Both teams played really well defensively. I mixed up Subban with Lankinen, of course, because we've been promoting him so much. So Kevin Lankinen now takes the post in Dallas, and probably Khudobin is back for Stars. Some disciplinary reason why he was missing out last time around, but should be back in the net unless something else has been going on. Not certain of that, but be it Khudobin or Oettinger, it doesn't matter. The Dallas has played defensively pretty well, and of course Chicago a little bit of an underdog and challenger here, so they are approaching the game quite defensively, be as it may. So tough game. We do have Chicago as about 49% simulations. They win 49% of the simulations, while the odds are around 40%. So quite a clear value there. But of course, again, a road underdog that we are favoring, a little bit questionable there. But we do trust in Lankinen, so should be a tight game, and also about 60% of the under 5.5 goals. So expected a really low scoring defensive battle.
And then last game here, Winnipeg goes to Calgary, playing at Saddle Dome, where visitors have usually been pretty strong. Does Winnipeg have now their high-traded centerman Pierre-Luc Dubois in lineup, and will he provide some additional boost for the visiting team after, I would say, a bit so-so performance in last few games?
Yeah, it is. Dubois is expected to play tonight. That's also unconfirmed, so we're not entirely sure, but should provide a big boost to the center line of Winnipeg. And they've been lacking the scoring prowess a little bit since Patrick Laine left. Maybe waiting a little bit for Dubois to come in and make some sort of impact. Of course, like you said, in Calgary, the visitors have been very strong, but last time we went with the Jets, they failed quite miserably. So a lot of big things expected this time around. They are favorites in our simulations, while they are underdogs in the odds. So another of these games that we should be able to win. But I'm not so certain of Jets at the moment. Calgary played really well last time around. They got production from their top players, so it will be another very interesting matchup. And they are playing the playoffs already in Alberta. These two teams.
Yeah, I think the Calgary's best performance was the last game 2 nights ago against Edmonton. So then they won that 6-4, and even though there were these 2.5 meter tall Finnish goalkeeper Koskinen at Edmonton's goal, he couldn't stop too many of those shots that Calgary pushed. But Winnipeg, they lost 2 games at home against Vancouver and Calgary, and then last 2 games when Calgary was playing in Winnipeg, they won those 4-1 and 3-2. So like you said, tight games both ways, and it would be interesting to see if Calgary finally will get their act together at home, because that is so annoying statistic that you are losing more games at home than on the road. So it maybe would be good for you to take a short bus trip to the Edmonton and back, and then play your home games after it.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of really tight home games, so I think now if they stay in a bus for a little longer, heading to the stadium, they are having this better home performance. But of course, we do root for Jets now because of the simulations, and also Dubois back there. So finally dressing up. So I do have my faith in Jets, but it's a tough one for sure.
We'll see how your faith is correct this time. And tomorrow, as there is only 2 games, we will go through the season futures and a little bit overall numbers, how the season has gone so far in our simulations. But first we check these games tonight. Kings will start their return to the form of 2014 from tonight, and then another game, Washington will bounce back from the humiliating loss against Philadelphia in Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, this is what's going to happen. So keep an eye on these games.
Will do.